What up, YouTube Digital? If I seem a little weird today, I'm a little pain. I had 5 nerve blocks done yesterday. Those are shots of steroid in your spine. They feel like 5 spinal taps at the same time. They just really are not cool. Imagine that. But anyway, first off, fuck the media. Fuck all their bullshit. Experts and witnesses that they paid for. And let's be real, they're all paid for. The witnesses will be on the witness stand. The end of story. Another thing. You can't go on this case from one point of time to the end. This case started when Zimmerman felt that he needed to call the non-emergency line. Imagine that, the non-emergency line, to tattletale on Martin based on his attire and how he acted in the rain. What turns out that he was talking to his girlfriend at the time. So, yeah, maybe Zimmerman wouldn't know anything about talking to a girlfriend. But anywho, and his attire. As for his attire and his Facebook photos or anything else, you can go to any high school in America and you'll see half the kids dressed like that or a form of that. Like in skaters have their own little twist to it, and emo is even started kind of in that urban style, and then they turned it all black and bloody. Even a lot of people in their 30s dress that way. It does not mean gang affiliation. It does not mean you're a dope dealer. It does not mean absolutely fucking nothing. And as far as the hoodie bullshit, the hoodie crap, my wife, I was making this video in a car yesterday, and I looked over and I realized my wife was wearing a fucking hoodie. There's a picture of me from 1974. I'm only a few weeks old, and I'm wearing a fucking shit brown hoodie with a Winnie the Pooh patch on it. Sorry, the hoodie defense is bullshit. This did not happen at 2 o'clock in the morning. People keep calling, oh, it was night. People couldn't see. It happened at, they pretty much pronounced him dead at 7:30. Well, here, it was light out till 8:30 last night. There was light, okay? It wasn't daytime, but it wasn't black, you know. Enough where Zimmerman was able to spot out all of his bullshit across the street enough to call the non-emergency line. Now, I stated in my first video that, yeah, there could be some evidence that comes out that makes Zimmerman a guardian angel or an angel or whatever. I still don't believe that's the case, because people keep picking and choosing where they want to look at the evidence and everything else. Well, you can't. It starts from point A to point Z, and everything in the middle is part of it. You can't look at one little tiny thing and go, oh, that's it, yeah. I don't give a shit about stand your ground. I don't give a rat's ass, because even without stand your ground, you know, obviously anybody's going to protect themselves in whatever, any form of fashion. Okay? There. I'm going to do a little experiment, but before the experiment, I'm going to tell a little story. I was almost 16, 9th grade. Me and a friend were leaving a school dance. We ran into some girls. We were walking with them. We went by the Burger King, ate. It ended up being like 1 in the morning. Walking back, we had my friend and mine, we had bikes, but we were walking with them, kind of walking in circles. We would have just gave them a ride, but there was a third girl, you know, a third wheel. But anyway, a guy was driving down the street, crossed 4 lanes of traffic, even though there was nobody else out, but 4 lanes of traffic, and almost killed us. And I yelled asshole. Okay, maybe I shouldn't have. But I'm digital. Sometimes I do shit like that. He slammed on his brakes. He fucking started flying all around us and doing circles and turning on and off his lights like he's fucking Christine. And then he flies up right next to me, and I'm standing on, my bike is in between my legs. My hands are on my handlebars, but my feet are on the ground, and I'm kind of, I'm standing up, and he just starts fucking cussing me out. And I look over at my friends, and all of a sudden, they all took off. And I'm standing here, I'm looking at this guy, he has a 30-30 in his back window. His whole dashboard is just riddled with fucking ammo. And he had some sort of pistol on him as well. And I just punched the guy. And because I didn't, yeah. So I got on my bike and I just took off. The guy chased me. He only made about 200 yards, and he crashed into a pillar of a parking structure. One of the things all the second story up. And I rode off into the night. Well, I rode off far enough where when the cops came, because somebody called the cops. The cops came, they arrested the guy for DUI and weapons. I didn't go and say, oh, well, the guy was chasing us and all that. He was in enough shit. So I just was done. And yeah. So the moral of that story is you might know what you're doing. You're walking down the street trying to mac on a girl and everything else. But then somebody will come into your life and you don't know what they're doing, their intentions, their threat level, or anything else. And sometimes you just gotta do things. But anywho, let's do a little experiment here. We're going to have a control. A control is either something that doesn't change, or a control can be if you have, like, you're testing drugs and you have petri dishes with the same type of illness and different drugs in each one to treat. The control will be the one without any medication. So you can see, what this medication does. But, so the control in this case will be Zimmerman sees Trayvon and then decides to call the non-emergency line, and then says stupid things like, oh, they always, and I'm not going to bring up fucking Coons. I don't know if he said it or not. I don't give a shit anymore. And he brings up the fact that they always get away, but he doesn't leave his car, okay? He does not leave his car. There's the control. In every three scenarios, that's going to happen. The other control is the cops are there within 4.5 minutes. I know I'm pushing it. Okay, so the first one, the cops get there. They look around. They can't find Trayvon. And George yells, oh, he got away. And the cop goes, look, dude. You didn't see him commit a crime. Did you yell, hey, fucker, I'm calling the cops? And he'd said, no. Okay, so in reality, he was walking home. Because if he was committing a crime, he'd still be here. Okay, thank you. Okay, next one. They get there, they see Trayvon. They go, hey, what are you doing here? Trayvon, after a couple questions, he comes out and says, oh, fuck you, man. I live here. Leave me the fuck alone. So they end up leaving him alone. And, so the cops come back to Zimmerman and say, look, dude, he lives here. Leave him alone. And by the way, Stop stop calling us 60 fucking times. You're not a cop. Leave people alone. Okay, so now the third one. Same thing, cops get there, except Trayvon's standing in the middle of a pile of glass holding a car stereo and everything else, and they arrest him. Okay, all those are plausible. All those could have happened, except for one person fucking it all up. Now, like I said, this whole case will go from point A to point Z. Now, the part that he was following Trayvon, technically that's not illegal. But your actions can be used against you in a murder or manslaughter case. I don't think, if he gets charged, I don't think he's going to get murder. He'll get manslaughter. He will not win civilly. I'll give him 0.001% chance of winning civilly. Criminally, I still think he's going to go down for manslaughter, but I think the main point will be this one factor of I'll get to that in a second. Okay, but shit. Zimmerman follows Trayvon. Zimmerman acknowledges Trayvon went and took off and hid somewhere. Okay. At that point, he should have probably realized that this kid's scared. It's pretty clear. This kid's scared. He's a 17-year-old kid. He's being followed. And again, you gotta understand, the kid knows that he is just walking home talking to his girlfriend. He didn't do anything wrong. So why does this guy want his ass so bad? What is he, gay or something? I mean, what does he want from him so bad? So that's, you gotta look at it that way. And so Trayvon, got away, hid, and then he decides, well, fuck this, I'm just gonna walk home. Even though his girlfriend, according to her, told him to just run. And so he starts walking, and he ends up in front of him. Now, this apparently Zimmerman pulling this off and Zimmerman told police he followed Martin. He lost track of him, returned to his car. Martin then confronted him, which I believe Martin came out of hiding and ran into him. And then asked, do you have a problem? So Martin asked Zimmerman, do you have a problem? This is according to Zimmerman. Okay. This is a part where Zimmerman should have realized that this issue has gone way past anything, and he needs to back off and de-escalate it. He has caused a problem here. He thinks he's in the right, but technically he's not really too much in the right. And now he's pushed a person into believing that he may be robbed. Who knows? Because you don't know what's going to happen. At this point, he should have said, dude, look, I'm top flight security of the world. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. I've never seen you before. We've had a lot of break-ins this week. People are asking me. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on here and everything else. Do you live here? Or, whatever. Now, here's where I kind of find it weird, because Trayvon's girlfriend was still on the phone. Apparently, she heard this part right here. And Zimmerman said he replied no, and then reached for his cell phone, and Martin punched him in the face. So, you know what? To be honest, I would have fucking punched him too. But the weird thing is, the girlfriend stated that Zimmerman asked what the fuck he was doing there or whatever. You just went and scared a fucking kid. Now you're reaching in your pocket and everything else. You're not explaining yourself or anything else. You created the situation. It's up to you to de-escalate it. And this is where people need to realize, and this is why this issue needs to be in every CCW class and everything else, every neighborhood watch training, everything else. Because the fact is you inject yourself into somebody's life, you're taking ownership of this whole crap and everything else, you're causing a problem that was never there. Okay, let's look at the facts here. Okay, the facts were, if Zimmerman minded his own business and didn't bug Trayvon, Trayvon would still be alive. Okay, but let's just say, okay, he did call the cops and everything else. Okay, the cops showed up and questioned Trayvon. 99% he'd still be alive. Even if Trayvon at that point was a wild man and got out of control, the police are trained to deal with these people. They got tasers and other means to not kill the person. It's funny that all the stuff we complain about the cops, the Fifth Amendment, the tasing, and everything else, all this stuff comes in play here. But, yeah. This is where you kill yourself. And you got to remember, it's not also, this ended up with a kid dead. But your kids are going to be without a father. Your wife is going to be filing bankruptcy. Everything's gone. Is it worth it? Did you see them actually do a crime? Why are you calling a non-emergency instead of the emergency? Are you just not that sure? If you're not that sure, why are you following him? This is all stuff that's going to be brought up in court. I've said this before, 3 years ago, that if something like this happens, the DA can either be, whatever, or you can get the DA that's going to look at every fucking little tiny thing all the way fucking through. And he is going to put you on trial for every little tiny decision you made through the entire fucking process. And you got to answer that all the way through. Is it worth it? Now tell me this. If you feel that bad that this guy's suspect, would it be worth calling the cops and fucking the situation up? So in turn, maybe he really was going to do something, but now he didn't even get a chance to do anything because you went and put your stupid ass in the middle of it and fucked it all up. So now the cops just have to, can allow him just to go home? Or should you have waited and just kind of watched from the background? Not following him or anything else, just looked at him and watched, see if he actually did something. And then call the cops, because then he actually committed a crime. And again, I'm not going to get into anything if he actually really did commit a crime that was threatening enough where you had to inject yourself. Okay, that's a totally different situation. None of that happened in this case. This case happened because somebody took it too far. Somebody went too far into this kid's life. And now the kid's dead. That kid did not know who Zimmerman was before Zimmerman put himself in the kid's, deal. That kid was not going after Zimmerman before. Okay? This is all because of the actions he started, he initiated. This is why in civil court he's got almost zero chance of winning. if you're put in these positions, you should not even put yourself in these positions. You should not allow yourself. You should, you need to understand enough psychology to even think of the possibility. Am I scaring this kid? Am I doing it? Am I going too far in what I'm doing? Am I doing something lawful? Can this kid sue me tomorrow? Now there was a case where I followed somebody that just ripped us off, my wife and I, off at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I followed the motherfucker. And he knew I was there and all that shit, because I was following him, paralleling him with my truck, looking at him. And then I sat there and I said, you know what? This situation's not going to go good. I need to back the fuck off. He stole my fucking Lakers parka. I was pissed. I could beat the guy down. But what I was doing was not going to fix the situation. I am putting myself in a spot where I could be having to fight the guy or fight myself. It's not worth it. And you know what the thing is fucked up. It's especially not worth it when that person has not done anything to you. So everybody has to take a step back and realize it. That everything you do in these type of situations has a consequence. That consequence can come back and bite you in the ass, even if you think you're in the right. Now, of course, this hasn't been written in stone yet, but the theory, if the DA prosecutes, they are going to go based on a theory of what if Trayvon was acting in self-defense because he did not know who this guy was, what his actions were, and everything else. This could happen to anyone intervening in a situation. And at the end of the day, you need to be careful that you do not become the aggressor when there was no aggression in the first place. Now, more people will sit there and think about, when is it viable for me to get myself involved? What does it take? Do I need to see the person commit a crime? Do I need to see the person, do something more than wear some clothes? Where do you draw the line? This is something that you should be talking to yourself, with your spouse, with your friends, or whatever beforehand. Not after the fact, but before the fact. When do you get involved? What is your threshold? And at that threshold, what is your involvement? Is your involvement instantly to try to control and neutralize the situation? And I don't mean killing, but to stop. And we're talking about non-violent offenses right now, because there's nothing here that shows that he did anything to the point that it would require immediate whatever from the beginning. Okay? You need to look into how can things go down bad that can flip it up and make me responsible for what happened. If I follow someone in California, there's a law where if you chase someone in your car, And I think a lot of states have this now. If you chase someone in your car and it ain't that damn bit, like that fucking important, and they wreck, it's your fault. If somebody dies, you can go for that. Is it worth you going to that level? Where is that threshold? You can't be sitting there at the gas station pump and somebody walks up to you, is about ready to tell you, hey man, nice car, or whatever else, or hey man, fucking digging those rims, and you pull out your gun, you're pointing, don't rob me, bro. Well, what the fuck are you doing? Where are your lines? This is something that people need to sit there and dwell on, and to think, and to go over different scenarios in your head of things that can happen. Because having a gun on your side should not affect your obligations or level of input into a situation. The gun on your side should not make you anything. Should you, to be fair to the person, should you also, if you think that you should carry a gun for self-defense, should you also learn other styles of self-defense so that your only option is not killing a person? Do you owe it to yourself, your family, and everybody else involved to learn other things? If you're going to take that step to have a gun on your side for self-defense, should you, on the same time, then go, okay, if I'm going to have a gun, I should learn some sort of martial art or Krav Maga or something like that to also help me so I don't have to pull the gun out. Like police officers are, supposed to train. You have no laws to protect yourself like police officers do. You don't have that, stop, halt, police type bullshit to protect yourself. So, are you prepared to be put in all these scenarios and believe that you're going to do the right thing? And everybody needs to go through this. This needs to be drilled in your head of everything. You got to reassess the situation, moment by moment by moment by moment. And at a point, in any time of there, do you become the aggressor? Because it can happen. You need to back off. Okay? It's not about retreat versus that if somebody's, attacking you. It's about the fact that there's a stalemate. There's other things going on, and now you become the aggressor, the person with the power, and you have the power in such of a fashion more than the other person. The funny thing about this thing that Zimmerman said that he was reaching for his cell phone when Martin went after him. How do we know it was his cell phone and not his gun? Things don't add up. They don't add up because he's not totally telling the truth. He went too far. He can't take it back. We can't bring back Trayvon. There's no way. But this case right here can be a learning tool for people to realize that shit can go wrong real fast, even if you don't intend it. Even if that's not your purpose. But if it does go wrong and you're in the middle of it, it could be your ass barbecuing. Civilly, criminally, and sociably.